we are joined now. Now we know actually who is joining the room. Olga Ukolova.
Look at that pronunciation. I would have
Oh,
slammed
thank
that
you so
horribly.
much. How do you actually do this mic thing?
Make sure it's turned on and then talk straight into it.
Or cool.
So
Hi, everyone, whatever the camera is.
we
Hey.
have 3 cameras stacked on top of each
Oh.
other.
No single point to failure. Okay.
No, they're actually all plugged in to one cable. So
Nah,
yeah,
still there's one.
It's a very, very unique setup, and it's awesome.
much professional.
Yeah,
Much
professional. Much wow.
You can call it like that.
So, Olga, what do you do?
I'm one of the founders of Pandora Core and Pandora Blockchain projects. We do crazy stuff like building Skynets and all of that.
Fantastic. Yeah. And did you talk today?
No, it was my talk was on the first day. First talk, first day. Yeah.
And you're also talking at TCConf? Is that right?
I will be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome, yeah. Transylvania.
Yeah, Transylvania.
Yeah.
That's where
Skynet,
vampires come
Transylvania.
from.
Yeah.
I'm looking
Could be
forward to it.
dangerous.
Yeah, and in autumn, perfect year to be there.
Yeah, a lot of fresh engineering dev blood, probably.
So your talk was about the non-aggression principle and how it applies to artificial intelligent
Yeah.
agents. So maybe could you give a quick summary? Why is that such an interesting topic?
It doesn't. Because the non-aggression principle is something that humans kind of created. Therefore, they created it based on the principles that they use in order to communicate, to exchange goods, and everything like that. And if we look at how, for example, bacteria interact with each other, it's also a trade, but they do not have any principles of that created. Therefore, I assume and I follow my own principle that we cannot use NAP in order to either build or interact with any type of artificial agents.
So how do we keep the AI from killing us all? 3 laws?
We cannot do that.
We just have to convince the AI to value humans as pets, not meat.
Probably the perfect way to deal with that is to make yourself more complex in order to have a lot of tools to grasp the new type of intelligence or whatever that might become eventually, and then to be able to actually interact with that and not to try to kill it eventually.
An upgrade. I think we're going to have like biological upgrades so that we can
Yeah.
compete with computers. Can't
Yeah.
wait for that.
It's like we already are. We have been embracing everything that bacteria and germs and every teeny tiny biological organisms give us, and we're somehow capable of interacting with them. So probably we're potentially are able to interact with something which is more computer based, or at least we're agile enough. I hope.
So it's better to become like the computers so that they'll see us as maybe cousins and maybe not blindly genocide us.
Can you imagine the binary code like merged with your thought process?
I carry the phone everywhere. I'm on Twitter like 12 hours a day. So
You're already
I'm already a
merged with that.
cyborg. Like,
Perfect.
I'm in the Matrix.
yeah, and my
Where's
teachers were
the-
always
Where can I push the merge button?
it's out there, but my teachers were always saying you're not going to have a calculator with you at all times. You have to learn multiplication, you have to learn math, all
Yeah,
this nonsense. Now I have a
Newsflash.
calculator with me at all times. And not only just me, the nerd, but everyone else in the world is a big nerd carrying a whole computer around with them, even if they don't know how to use it as well as I do.
Well, they might think as cats do not know why, for what purposes the fridge is, and that there are cows and humans. Probably for an average person, a phone is something that you can watch cats on, like movies, cats, porn from time to time. Yeah. So
The best technology is indistinguishable from magic. And that's what it's starting to seem like with these phones.
And have you do you ever read into the singularity and like that sort of peak, that moment, the Ray Kurzweil? I think I watched a talk about it the other day actually, and how we are going to be usurped by computing power pretty soon. Is it 2027? No,
It's in 2 weeks.
it's 2 weeks.
yeah, it's always
Dan's
in 2
counting
weeks.
down.
Or
He can't
blocks.
wait to be replaced.
Oh gee, no, I can't wait to upgrade. I just want to. I really want to upgrade. Yeah.
So you want to see this pop up in your
Oh, that
in
would
your
be
brain,
sick.
like,
Yeah.
are you accepting the terms and conditions? Blah blah blah.
Oh, gosh,
Want to
yeah.
upgrade?
Welcome
Oh,
to the
yeah.
singularity.
Magic.
Human Sentai pad.
You shouldn't have pushed agree.
No, yeah.
It's a one-way function.
It is.
What?
So what have you any particular talks this HCPP that have stuck out to you?
Like this time?
Yes, anything that you've seen that's kind of resonated and
The
fascinated
smuggler
by?
talk was pretty awesome. It got me into thinking probably not that much about UTXO's principles, how they work and everything. Might not be much about privacy also. But I'm pretty intrigued about his thoughts and his progress on computations and on creating of some sort the trustworthy computer. Because it got me into thinking that on the opposite of Alan Turing's thought, he's probably, you know, this question, can machines think, and the imitation game where you as a human are kind of a judge, and you can judge computer whether it feels like you are talking to an actual person, whether it is an actual person there or a human being. Smuggler's thought got me into thinking whether we can do the opposite, whether we can build, whether we are whether a computer can judge us. This can be a good way to
That sounds
follow.
scary, being judged by a computer,
Yeah, but
because it's probably not going to
we
like
are
us.
judged, and we judge all of the time.
Yeah.
No, so
But
why not?
if the computer's got crazy power or whatever, it could, like, when it becomes too intelligent, it could, I don't know, like hypnotize you or something and take over.
Yeah, but
That's
again,
Candy Crush.
Okay.
but again, like a cat doesn't judge you because there is no milk in the fridge. Monkey doesn't judge you according to his or hers, whatever they have the gender equality
Die.
probably. They don't judge you according to their principles. They don't see the principles. They don't feel it. They don't live by it. Therefore, there's no conflict. Yeah. At least you see a monkey with the rock.
So what is Pandora's box, Shane?
Oh, it's a sequence of unpredictable, I would say, events. If you don't see it coming, then you cannot predict it. You cannot probably cope with that. Bunch of, again, principles that we use in the development process that would enable a real Skynet and probably a new species to rise at some point.
Is that a good
That's-
thing? Remember,
Um,
Skynet's from the Terminator movies. So you're talking about the software that was running the nuclear weapons, and then it woke up, and then it decided, I've got a better plan than what the humans think. I'll start a war. I'll build some robots. I'll send Arnold Schwarzenegger back in time, stripped naked. A lot of stuff like
Strip
that.
naked is the most
It's
powerful
important
part.
that you could only time travel naked. That was part of the important things they developed in Terminator time travel rules.
I think version 1.1 you could have like a hat or something.
Back
or
to the
like
Future would have been a very different movie with Doc and Marty traveling back naked. Come on, Marty, we've got to get naked.
Well, is the source code a skeleton or some program being naked then?
Well, if it's open source,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, okay, perfect. What was the question again?
Is it a good thing to make Skynet? Is this going to make our lives better?
I think A overall yes, and B, I think about it as more of a vaccination, because vaccination is entry consciously or subconsciously putting some other object which is pretty violent to your body. It causes inflammation. It causes you like high temperature and all other symptoms. But at the end of the day, it helps you to adjust to the circumstances that are out there, to different kinds of agents, even pathogens and all of that stuff. So it's more about the question whether you are strong enough to suffer through that and to benefit from that.
So before we have very bad AI, maybe we should try just a little bit of bad AI to see how our system takes it.
I would say that little bit of bad AI. How do you define bad here?
Kills all humans. Kills
Well,
some humans.
Flash did that.
Sure.
Is it bad?
Led to something
It's a
called
virus.
the
Like,
Dark
how can you
Ages. There
judge it?
wasn't a lot of production. There wasn't a lot of books written. A lot of second suns went down. We had to work on our sewer systems. We couldn't share the same
So
water handles
eventually
and
you
so forth.
benefited from that.
I'm not sure if I benefited. I mean,
It
there was
forced-
less
It forced a
people
lot
in
of
Europe.
people to just stand up and do stuff, to actually work on biology, to work on research, to work on development.
Join the Imperial Navy, fight the AI today.
I would build my own AI that would secure myself and the
And
people
what
that I
will
care
this Skynet AI run? What's like the first application that would like you'd take over?
about.
Traffic lights, political systems,
Well, traffic lights are very
television
easy to control.
stations.
Oh yeah. I think I would use it for biological experiments and weapon.
So like detecting cancer, like looking at different charts and then figuring it out. And
I would play more around with not with other agents, other bacteria or microorganisms, but more with genes.
so making
Biohacking.
chemical weapons,
Yeah.
but positive ones that make you stronger and faster and smarter.
Sure.
Yeah, at first,
Even through the fever.
probably. Everything else shrinks up later.
Well, I guess the question is more like we will have technologies, and AI or well, whatever that means is just another technology. And so the question is, will this technology be used only by a central and limited amount of agents who have control over this, while others are excluded from using such a technology? Or will the technology in and of itself be censorship resistant, with everyone having equal access, or at least the ability of utilizing such a tool? So how much does the censorship resistant aspect pay into blockchain?
Well, being and building something censorship resistant and being pretty resistant to any types of censorship and being self-sovereign and self-sufficient, I would say, are core principles for what we're doing, what we have been doing. Therefore, this is actually why I do not share like Elon Musk's, for example, attitude towards the AI thing, the development, the future, and everything. I do believe that if some other type of intelligence or consciousness arises, then if it will understand that if it understands that we have this kill button, then its first goal would be to kill us as holders of that button, and of course to destroy the button itself, to take over the control of
Right.
himself.
Yeah.
So this is why we are kind of eliminating that point of war starting, I guess, by just trying to remove that button by building something which would be censorship resistant from the first day.
And could you is it is it possible to program like I don't know like an encrypted area of like AI intelligence that means that there's certain rules that can't they can't like can you say don't kill a human?
Yeah, 3 laws.
Yeah.
Well, at the moment we use a lot of research and a lot of information from game theory field. But yes, again, it's based on something that humans use in order to interact. Because bacteria, for example, they are quite primitive, but again, they are still there. They still exchange genes with us. They still kill a lot of people, a lot of animals. But it's kind of safe. Yeah. I think
I'm not sure
I
if
got
it's
into
safe,
thinking
but
too
it's
much here.
symbiotic. The bacteria helps us. It breaks down food. It defends against diseases, but it also causes diseases, right?
Yeah, but
It's
again,
good and bad.
you can overcome that. You can actually deal with that if you're strong enough. If your immunity is strong enough, then you can work with that. If not, sorry for your loss. Literally.
You're also working on RGB, so shitcoin infrastructure. where then the censorship-resistant AI can, do gambling. Very important work, right?
Yeah, we started contributing into RGB because at some point we understood that in order to build something which would become eventually the layer 3 on top of Bitcoin, we need to have the layer 2, the proper one. So this is why by building the layer 2, we're actually contributing to our project.
What does RGB stand for? Because it's red, green, blue for me.
Right? Are you a designer?
Roy G. Biv.
RGB is a project which is dealing with issues of issuing assets on top of Bitcoin, transferring them between different types of agents, storing them, and all of that. It's like Ethereum and all of that shitcoins made proper way.
So the proper shitcoins, not the shitty shitcoins.
Yeah.
Visual shitcoins.
Giacomo Zucco might be using. Yeah, probably he used those words while he was presenting the RGB concept back in the days. Proper shitcoins.
So Giacomo Zucco is involved in shitcoins now?
Yeah, for a long time. He's been there.
How am I not surprised?
No, he's an awesome guy, and being involved in something that you think might be scammy, might actually be a proper way to know the threat in order to be prepared and to build a proper alternative to that. It's like in order to build Bitcoin, you should have known how economic works, how government works, how the financial system of governments work, in order to know the details and then build something opposite to that.
So Satoshi was a pretty smart group of people, huh?
So you know that they're a group of people, not one.
Maybe.
Tell me more.
There's an old one, a young one, a programmer, an economist, and some other guy.
This guy, that guy, and the third one.
Yep. And then they were all working for CIA, and late at night they'd meet and they'd work on their plans for Bitcoin. But then they left the plans inside CIA, and then they have to break into CIA to steal the plans for the Bitcoin so that the CIA doesn't end up with the original Satoshi's coins. It's called The Quest to Get Satoshi's Coins, or maybe How to Steal $1 billion from the CIA.
And now all of them are based on Mars, probably.
It's going to be a movie, yeah. Very dramatic.
Is it? I think I don't know if the name's right. Dan Pena, or who said that he knows Satoshi, and he thinks it's Putin.
Putin.
That's the latest one. Yeah, that was there was a video going around yesterday or something, or today. Yeah, so apparently it's Putin. It's not Craig Wright.
Who would have known?
Yeah, crazy. I kind of like the idea of never knowing who it is. You know? Or if he, she, they still around, hope we just never find out. It's just more poetic, isn't it?
So you're trying to become a cat, actually, to not know where the milk comes from in the fridge, right?
Yeah, I like that.
It's delicious milk. Why would I need anything else?
Why bother? Right. Sure.
Satoshi's milk.
So-
There you go.
Satoshi, the greatest milk ever.
That's his mining process?
Yeah.
Should have called it milking. Damn.
Yeah.
Sorry, Satoshi. No offense.
He's definitely watching.
Clearly.
Texts me all the time. He won't shut up.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of texting, I mean, it's also very important that Satoshi has censorship-resistant messaging services, right? And of course, you're building that as well with the Storm protocol. So how can Satoshi utilize Layer 2 on top of his beautiful creation to have censorship-resistant messages and storage?
Magic. Yeah, like really, I'm not sure whether we have that much time. So basically, I would recommend everyone to go to GitHub and read the spec, see the code. In
What's the
order
link?
to know that. GitHub.com something. Just drop me a message, everyone, and then I'll send over the link. Storm is not that well distributed so far. It's a pretty small project and not a lot of people involved with that. It works still, but yeah, if someone wants to know the details and to contribute to that, you're always welcome.
And which conference are you going to next?
Me personally, the Transylvania conference next, and my talk would be about the economical games, starting from bacterias actually and coming to AI agents. So I will not skip the human-based part of that. It's gonna be fun. And after that, the Lightning conference in Berlin, and I will be having a talk in Stuttgart after that.
Very
A lot
cool.
of travels.
And where can people learn more about Pandora's blockchain?
Box chain.
Whatever.
But you know it's a jar, right?
Huh?
You know it's a jar. It's
I
not,
do know
it's
it's
not
a jar.
box, right? Okay.
I also know that after Prometheus gave fire to man, Zeus wished to punish the gods. So Epimetheus, which means forethought, Prometheus is afterthought, is his brother. He had this jar already in his possession. He was not given the jar. He was given the slave girl, Pandora. And that no good Pandora just wandered around the house opening things, doing whatever she wanted. And when she opened this particular jar, all of the horrors of the world came out: death and strife and anger and hate and jealousy and all these things. And then she quickly hurried to close the jar, which she successfully locked hope inside. So there is no hope.
Yeah, there's no hope.
It's going to be dark and cold and no hope.
Yeah. Embrace the difficulties and deal with that.
Very cool. And what about the other projects you're working on? Where can we learn more about those?
First, the first and probably most philosophical project that we're working on is the Free AI Manifesto, Manifesto.ai. It has all the description of the principle of AI building, the development of the technologies that we are dealing with. So that is the first one. The Pandora blockchain website. Also, but again, at some point we kind of understood that there's no point in having landings or corporate websites or something like that. Therefore, we have this Free AI Manifesto website with all the philosophy thing in that, and we do most of the work in GitHub. So basically, Pandora Core, GitHub/Pandora Core, everything is there.
And when does your ICO launch?
We're not having one.
What?
Oh, that's a
Yeah, we're gonna
shame.
be poor and powerful.
Poor and powerful instead of rich and weak. Sounds like a good trade-off.
Perfect one.
All right. Thanks so much, Olga, for the interview.
Thanks. Enjoy. Cheers.